From soaring housing costs to rising everyday expenses, some Americans are feeling priced out of their communities, and many are now turning to the Midwest for some relief. The region offers many things: the lowest median home prices in the country, along with lower rents compared to the national average. But it's not just cheaper, wages are growing faster too. That combination of bigger paychecks and lower costs is becoming America's best, worst kept secret. All right, so we got a couple, we got a Midwesterner, we got a transplant Midwesterner here. Okay, so we know what's good about the Midwest. We got some coastal dwellers as well. I get a little nervous, Taylor, about some of you Californians coming out to the Midwest.
I know.
But you can't argue with lower housing prices and higher wages.
No, and I'll keep this short and sweet. My favorite sign in Texas is "Don't California my Texas." Basically, don't bring all of your views and your high taxes to the state that you just moved to avoid all of that. I talk to a lot of friends my age, millennials, mid-30s, thinking of and forming families, and they're going to places like Salt Lake City because their companies allow them to work remote, and they can also have a great life. And yes, they can afford to build a family there and build a home. So what I like, I think one of my best lessons from COVID is we learned that money is a little bit more movable than it was pre-COVID. We've talked to a lot of business owners, and they say that if they want to hire the best talent, they have to go maybe where that talent is. We could talk about the merits of losing mentorship and the importance of being in office, and all of those are very real, and I like those. But I like that money and people can move where they are treated best.
Now, we should say the Midwest is kind of a diverse lot. It has places like North and South Dakota on the one hand. It also has places like Illinois and Minnesota on the other hand. So I don't know that everyone's viewing all those locations the same. But it is attractive, David.
It seems that most people in New York seem to think the Midwest is anything west of the Hudson River. Yeah. But no, you're right.
It's
very
an old
diverse.
New Yorker cartoon.
It is literally
right.
a New Yorker cartoon. That's right. I do not think that anyone has anything to fear about California and New York liberal politics going to Nashville and Dallas and Salt Lake City. It is the moderates and the conservatives that are moving to those places by and large. My company in the last 5 years has opened offices in Nashville, Phoenix, Dallas, Austin, Grand Rapids, Michigan, a lot of the middle part of the country, booming economies. The key here is not the wage growth. That's going well, but you need more jobs. Those big cities are getting new jobs. The smaller cities in the Midwest are not. That's the problem. So you need wage growth to follow an increase of jobs. If you get more jobs and more wages, the housing prices will go up. It would be news to people in Boise, Idaho, and Phoenix, Arizona, that they have cheap housing, because they do not.
Right.
Dagan, you're a kind of a Midwestern transplant and happy about it.
Yes. Sorry, I just love
Just so
Ohio.
happy about
I
it.
just love Ohio. But to David's point, the cities that are attracting the talent and the businesses, like we mentioned Oracle. Oracle has decided to move its headquarters from Austin to Nashville, and it only just moved to Austin, 5 years ago? I think in 2020. But those cities are expensive and crowded. So you might get better policies because they're more conservative. They're not as crowded, they're not as expensive as places in very blue areas, but they're getting jammed up with folks. And the cities that, like where I am in Ohio, they're not great growth, controlled by liberals, not safe, problems with murder, crime, because of the liberal policies. So, but you do get, if you are looking for cheap real estate, you have to go to somewhere that the job opportunities aren't so great. So you're really looking at, for me, it was a retirement house. And like Salt Lake is expensive.
Now,
holy crap.
I was talking they moved during COVID.
Right.
Right.
Holy crap.
So I think the point about the jobs that are available is a good one. I would argue, though, Lou, you talk about like a Sioux Falls, South Dakota, you talk about a Des Moines, Iowa, not big cities. But I think some of the most entrepreneurial people end up being attracted to those locations. They're not going there to take a job, they're going there to create a job, or that's what's happening there is entrepreneurship, creating new centers of economic growth. Am I wrong there? What do you think?
No, I don't disagree, and I think every city and locale needs those pioneers that attract capital with them or decide to move their businesses to create that job growth. 25 years ago, I got moved to the Midwest in Milwaukee for 6 months in the middle of the winter. So I don't think that was a fair proxy of what the Midwest is like, Milwaukee in the middle of winter. But I do think this is an important counter argument to all the stuff that we keep hearing about. New York should be super affordable for everyone. Everywhere does not need to be affordable. Right. The beauty of this country is that capital can be fluid and dynamic and go to places where it gets treated better. And you have to make a decision. To your point, Taylor, it's now easier to have a job somewhere else or to be portable and move where you think you're going to have a better quality of life.
And places where capital is fluid, people are fluid, people are mobile, and that's what we call a free country. That's why I don't fear China, because they don't have free capital flow, therefore they don't have free people flow. We do in America. It's a feature, not a bug.
There you go. And they do not have as good a hot dish as the Midwest. We'll leave it right
You have to
there.
explain what hot dish is.
Hot dish is
Casseroles.
a lovely thing that you make in a pan or a crock pot, and it's filled with more ingredients than you can count.
It's a casserole.
And all of which are good. Yeah,
Like
casserole.
tuna fish casserole.
Tuna fish casserole is a fine one. Tater tot hot dish is another.
Oh my God, tater tot hot dish is.
Unless you have like 12.
I'm not getting hungry yet. I don't know what that says about Midwest
Is
cuisine.
the
We'll whip some
best.
up in the break.